But die of thirst or something or other. They're empty. We're on, are we? Oh, that's my coffee. Vlad, thank you very much. No, you help yourself. Why do we have to respect silly elders? How will they ever grow if we keep making them feel comfortable? That comes to us from a kid from, I don't know what you blokes are doing there tonight. Letter 2 tonight. There are plenty of us guys that actually love to see a bit of cankle. What? Cankle. On screens and magazines, whatever that is. Why does anyone in Australia do nothing about the profiteering of banks and pirates? All these and hopefully a more lively crew when we come back with Sweet and Sour in about 30 seconds. Don't go away. Welcome back. Can I have another coffee?
No,
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some sugar?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
We can do it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Gary Mitchell with you for the next half an hour. Terrific lot of panellists tonight. We haven't seen him for a while, but he's back with us tonight. Hello, Dr. Dingle.
it's nice to be back again.
Good to
Thank you
have
very
you
much,
back,
Mitch.
mate.
Really appreciate it.
That's all right, mate. All good. You've got a new book to launch as
I've
well.
got a new book to launch.
We don't do plugs anymore. We're not allowed to. What's it called?
I can't
Take control.
tell you. Take control and realise your potential.
All right, now if we could
Hold on,
do
does
that,
everyone have one?
but we don't do shameless plugs.
No, we don't. We don't
anymore. But it's nice to have you on the show again, Pete. Lise, you've got a book there too. What's that called?
I do. It's called Take Control and Realise Your Potential.
Lucky we don't do shameless plugs. Sorry, Tibor. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me back. It's good
That's
to be
all right.
back.
Where have you travelled to?
Lately, to the office and back, pretty much. It's all been work this year. Last year was
office and back.
extravagant, travelling all over the world. This year, it's just work and...
Yeah, well, something's got to pay for all those trips.
I know, exactly. Bring on the next holiday, I say.
Someone who's not been with us before. Hello, Kristine.
Hello.
Father.
Father.
What's father? Oh,
Father is a brand.
It's a brand.
It's a brand.
Oh, more
personified.
shameless plugs on the show. It's a brand of what?
Father is a fabulous menswear store in Perth, here in Claremont.
In Western Australia,
that everyone
Claremont.
should visit. Come down and we'll get you kitted out and looking fabulous.
But of course we don't do
With
shameless
no
plugs.
shameless plugs.
Darryl, do you have a book that you want to plug or any seminar or anything?
My shameless plug, 10 years in NLP in Perth.
NLP, tell them what
Our
NLP is.
anniversary, for 10 years we've been running NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming, very exciting, run your own brain. Whatever you want to do, you want to lose weight, you want to find the right relationship, you want to create money in a way that's honest and fair and good.
Oh, we all want to do that.
Yeah, but apart from that, we've got a great training in November, so that's what's exciting for me in my life.
Good for you. Now, and NLP stands for, again?
Neuro-linguistic programming. I'll just pull that lollipop out my mouth.
It's neuro-linguistic
The
programming.
languages that program your brain. The movie you're watching right now is not necessarily the movie you're watching right now.
Ooh.
Oh, let's not get too spiritual too soon. I didn't mean to do that.
Welcome
Come on.
to the Twilight Zone. You've just
gonna talk
entered
about cankle
letter
in a
1. Dear Mitch and guests, my granddad is living in the past and won't accept I'm growing up. He's been living with us for the past couple of years. Everyone tells me to respect him and his friends because they're older, but they treat me like dirt. I'm 16, but they act like I'm a child. He's 16, he is a child. And of course, they think I have no opinions of my own. The other night, we were out at a family meal, and I was asked by the waiter what I'd like to eat. Just before I had the chance to answer, my grandfather piped up and told the waiter that I'd have chicken nuggets from the kids' menu. And that's not the only example. He still assumes my mother buys my clothes and gives me pocket money. He's 16. Why wouldn't she do that? I had a job at a hardware store for nearly 6 months. The major issue is he's living like it's still the 1950s. He has outdated opinions about things like women doing the housework and children only speaking when spoken to. I don't think I can take living with this guy anymore. Why do I have to respect silly elders? How will they ever grow if we keep making them feel comfortable? Have you got any survival tips to last this huge generation gap? And it's signed Going Nuts in the Dandenongs of Victoria. Lise, he's 16.
He's 16. What a cutie. I think, he's a little bit deluded. Your granddad is laughing at you and deliberately winding you up. You talk about how will they ever grow? He's shrinking. He's not growing anymore. He's shrinking. So let him enjoy his time. Let him have his little wind up with you. Laugh along with it. I don't think there's any easy solution other than to grow up beyond it yourself.
Yeah, good point, because he's 16 and every
He's a
kid who
baby.
hits 16 starts thinking that they know it all, and by the time they get to 21, they're a pain in the bum for their parents and everybody else. And so he's sitting there thinking his granddad, who has only been on the planet like probably 3 times as long as this one, is out of place. Is there ever a situation where the grandparents are out of place, Pete?
Yes and no. How's that?
Okay,
yes and no.
diplomatic.
Well, I'll try and come up with an explanation for that in a moment.
Okay, all right.
But at the end of the day, look, by the way, is he a he or a she? I can't find a he in there.
Going nuts, my
He.
granddad. Does it matter?
Yeah, no, okay, but he. If he is, okay, look, the bottom line, you are a child. You are a child, so therefore behave like a child. But that doesn't mean that you have to be treated disrespectfully. The question you've got to ask, though, at 16, and a mature 16, is what lesson is there for you? What is it? And that's what you get when you mature. You actually learn to look at things and say, rather than oh no and whinge about it, you actually take it on and say, okay, look, Granddad really annoys me. What is there for me? And maybe the lesson is tolerance, to understand that there are differences in life and different perspectives, and that Granddad went through a very different time, and he's been conditioned for, I guess, about 65 years of his life and 16 of yours, and those 65 years are pretty hard to change. So my suggestion would be, an answer to this, is to sit down with your Granddad, make him a good cup of tea, a little bit of nice, unpasteurised, real milk that he can remember that he had when he was a kid. Sit down and have a nice, long chat with him about it. And just have a chat to get to know your Granddad, and get out of your own ego and ask your Granddad what he did when he was 16. And get him to talk about it.
Yeah, good idea.
And you'll be amazed at what wisdom and knowledge your Granddad has. Finally, you don't have to respect those people, but at least be courteous.
Be courteous. Kristine.
Agreed. I think Peter's absolutely right. I think it sounds to me, going nuts, like you and your granddad are not having enough quality time together. I think perhaps the whole problem here is that your granddad doesn't know what you're doing in your life, because it doesn't sound like you're taking the time to tell him. So maybe if you have a sit down with him, communicate with him, and once he actually gets to know you and understand that perhaps you are growing up, then he'll start treating you like more of an adult.
Is there a chance here that the grandfather's actually got Alzheimer's and he really is off his face?
There's always a chance.
There's always
a chance, Gary.
About 25% chance.
Is that how bad the stats are?
How age you are.
All right, Daz, give us the final word on this.
Mate, look, I agree with Pete as well. I want to elaborate and say
Boring
that
show, everyone's agreeing.
I don't
But
mean
I
to
agree with them
I don't
too.
mean to agree too much. But look, I do want to say I think you are a mature 16-year-old, and I think you've got a couple of aces up your sleeves. If you're working, that's great, and it is annoying to have the odd comment thrown your way about the chicken nuggets and stuff. I will say that he's going to go through a learning curve right now that is way sharper than yours. The internet, email and text, did I say sex? Text, way too scary for a learning curve for him. Of course he's going to have a bit of a joke and feel probably more fish out of water than you, mate. So take your time, do the cup of tea thing, you'll have a lot better fun with your granddad.
Say sex again, our ratings just went through the roof, all right? Did I say that? No, you didn't. When we come back, we're not going to be talking to Going Nuts. We're going to be talking about fatties on catwalks. We did it last week. We've got a response to last week's letter. And this panel's going to sink their teeth into it. Oh, more food. All right, when we come back, don't go away. 30 seconds. See you then. Yay! Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter, send it to the address that's appearing on the screen right now, which is, if I've got it right, letters@sweetandsour.net.au. And for every letter that does land here, we are going to send you to the movies, courtesy of the very pregnant and very gorgeous Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. And the movie we're sending you to this week is Midnight in Paris, and I've seen the shorts on that and it looks fantastic. Starring Adrian Brody, Owen Wilson, Rachel McAdams. She's gorgeous. So, good movie to rush out and go and have a look at, and that's what everybody's getting tonight, a pass to see that. And here we go, letter 2, dear Sweet and Sour. I think that letter you discussed about plus-size models was way off the mark. This was last week. I'm a guy and I'm probably not going to buy the clothes the fatties were wearing in the New South Wales parade that sparked all of this, but not everyone enjoys watching twigs on the runway. There are plenty of us guys that actually love to see a bit of cankle on the screen and in magazines. I thought it was great to see these female fatties getting work as fashion models, and I'm sure there's a market for men's magazines too. It's really refreshing to see retailers advertising at what is clearly a growing sector. I think it shows that Myers has matured and come into the modern age. Hopefully other retailers will sit up and take notice and adopt the philosophy that there is nothing wrong with fat women on the catwalk. Please revisit this topic to let the nation know that big is beautiful, and if we were all the same size, then the world would be a very boring and skinnily ugly place. I have so many mates who agree that nothing gives a chubby like a chubby. Oh, wow. We didn't see that line earlier. Kevin of Bayswater, WA. We're going straight to you, Daz.
Oh, look, very interesting, mate.
Do you get a chubby when you see a chubby? Is that something we should talk about?
We shouldn't talk about that.
Okay. NPL, what would they say about that last line?
Will you just say NLP? Would you stop
NLP.
saying NPL? I'm sure NPL means something. But, Gareth, look, big is big beautiful. I was saying to Peter earlier on, perhaps not so long ago, we did think that curves were everything. I mean, was it Renaissance?
Yeah.
Curves were everything.
Rubenesque women.
When you look at, the shape of cars, it really is the curves that turns you on. So I do concur a little bit with the fact that shapes are part of the magic. But how much shape? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to hear from you about, what to wear. But yeah, look, I think it is the curves, but how much curve? It's semantics. You're going to have to say one thing and other people will say another.
All right, your taste as a male. Do you like fuller figures or do you like curves that are a little healthier?
I do like fuller figures. No. I do like skinny girls, but tall ones. I can't.
Tall, skinny girls?
I don't like short. So I don't know if that's a bias.
Yeah, it's a bias, but we're all allowed to have biases.
Yeah.
All right, can someone who has father as a brand name tell us whether fatties are good or bad?
Well, look, I think it's an interesting topic. It'd be
But I don't want to talk about it.
interesting to discuss it in the context of men's fashion, which is what I operate in. But I think in relation to...
How would fatties go on the catwalk if they were men?
Look, I don't know. I'd like to see some curvaceous men strolling the catwalk.
Would you like to see pot bellies?
Well, why
Is that
not?
curvaceous?
I mean, look, there's a big part of our market that's made up of older men who don't necessarily have an 8-pack hidden under their T-shirt. So maybe we need to see a bit of them out on the catwalk.
So you'd actually go to a fashion parade with porkies walking the catwalk?
Why not? My husband's a larger man and I'm sure he'd quite happily strut his stuff on the catwalk. Certainly makes up a majority of our market in the store, so I don't see why not.
Is it healthy?
Look, I think that's the question. I mean, what are we talking about here? I think that Kevin from Bayswater in WA might be slightly deluded as to what a fatty is, because quite honestly, the plus size models we're talking about are size 12.
Cankles.
They've got cankles. I think
He's
that's
not
highly
deluded.
unlikely.
Cankles.
I think it's highly unlikely.
Cankles. That can't be
cankles
healthy.
indeed.
Cankles. No good. Peter, cankles.
I don't like the idea when the ankle joins on with the calves, the cankles. So it's a bit of a problem there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we really
And
are.
thank you for explaining what it is to the
I thought I'd just let that one out quickly. But at the end of the day, look, I love the pun. Clearly, it's a growing sector. And at the end of the day, we've got 40, 50, 60% of people who are large. Now, we don't want to be promoting the extra large versions because obesity and being overweight has serious health problems. And I won't go into the science of the health of all that, but at the end of the day, we should also not be promoting the skinny. What we should be promoting is the normal, healthy. And unfortunately, we tend to get this idea promoted by the people who develop the fashions that the skinny women walking the catwalk are the ones going to be selling it. And similarly with the boys and no hair on their chest. Now let's get serious. They've got these boys on the stage with no hair on their chest showing these shirts and things. It's ridiculous. Let's put real people up, but let's also encourage a perspective of health rather than being too skinny or too fat. And
Pete,
one thing that really gets to me...
Nail on the head, but what is what is not too skinny and not too fat? How do you determine what that is?
I mean, there's your body, what's called your body mass index. You know, there is a way of determining it, and if you're too skinny and you're too fat, you end up with chronically long-term health problems, no matter which one.
How do we find out what our body mass index is?
Go on afterwards on this and I'll give you some details.
It's very hard for people at home to work that out.
But the problem is we also have a wrong image of our own bodies. We look at ourselves in the mirror, and because we get so inundated with negative messages about what's perfect, we look at ourselves, we've got the semi-perfect body, and we go, oh, geez, I'm skinny, or geez, oh, I'm fat, I need to do something about it. What we need to do is get an assessment from our best friends. If you've got a healthy body, fantastic. They'll be the ones who tell you, not the people who lie to you. They're not your best friends. The best friends are to say, look, you do need to lose a bit of weight, or you do need to put on a bit of weight. Let's be honest here. And the thing that really gripes me is when you look at television, particularly worse American television than in Australia, but also here, and you don't see an obese or overweight person. They're all skinny people. And that is not reality. Let's get in touch with reality.
Final word to a woman, Lise.
I think this is quite old news though as well. So I can feel Kevin frothing at the mouth as he's writing this, because you know he talks about.
You can feel him frothing.
You can feel it in the text and the context of what he's saying, and these female fatties and the chubby like a chubby. And if you talk about female fatties, for example, my favourite, if you want to call it female fatty, is Kim Kardashian, because she is no small woman.
Big time.
She's on the cover of the magazines. She's beautiful. She's plus size, but she's a model.
Have you seen her without makeup? What?
No, is that possible? Isn't that a requirement of her contract to not be seen? But anyway, that's my attitude.
Okay.
It's old news.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about banking and the rip-offs that the banks perpetrate against all of us in Australia. Don't go away. We'll be right back with banking.
Hi, I'm Des, and it's great to be on the air and back in the chair with these guys. Watch Sweet and Sour. It's the best feel-good TV show.
Dear panel, what is it with banks in Australia? Are they having a laugh? I recently moved over from the UK. I love this country, and coming here was the best decision I've ever made. However, I don't understand how the banks can justify charging fees for almost everything. I get charged $5 a month just to have my account open. And that's not all. Moving money from my UK accounts to my Australian ones, I get charged once by the UK bank and then charged $25 by my Australian bank to receive the money. How does that make sense? I'm giving them money to look after on the premise that they go and invest the money and make profit. It's a slap in the face to charge me for the privilege. Do you know what the worst thing about the banks here are? ATM fees. How on earth do you put up with all of this? Being restrained to, Being restrained to using your own bank's ATMs, meaning you might have to travel another 5 miles to avoid the $2.50 charge. We wouldn't stand for it in the UK, so why do you guys put up with it here? What does anyone do in Australia to curtail rampant profiteering of these banking pirates? I know you all consider us as whinging poms, but maybe you need to take a leaf out of our book and complain a bit more. Jeff of Cairns in Queensland. Pete, banks.
Jeff, I agree and I disagree. How's that? I like that, duality.
It's very diplomatic.
But Jeff, you got it wrong in the beginning. You should have said, I love this sunburned country. Oh. Okay? We could have got into it a little bit more.
I love the sunburned country.
Look, I really do agree. At the end of the day, I agree with you, and a lot more. We are literally controlled by the banks, and we're locked in them, because in the old days when you got cash, you had a choice to put it under the bed, but now it goes straight into the bank. It has to go into a bank. They then control. However, there are a couple of very important issues here. First of all, we have one of the safest banks in the world in terms of their exposure to currencies and manipulations like what happened in the American marketplace. So maybe you're paying a little bit extra for security. Now, I don't really believe that, but I'm trying to put a balanced perspective here. At the end of it, the Bible even mentions about money lending and so on, and I don't agree with money lending. I don't agree with the whole principle, because it inflates the prices of everything. But, Jeff, it's your choice to go for the bank. So you can't complain. all you've got to do and say, okay, I want to go with a bank that is going to charge me the least fees, I have to pay the least amount of money. It's your choice, though, and that's the beauty of living in Australia, the sunburned country. You have got choice.
Choice. Move banks. Stir up a little bit of competition.
And even better, set up your own bank. Let's set up Jeff's bank.
Why would I want to bank at Jeff's bank?
Jeff's going to be as safe. He's a safe bet with this type of attitude.
Yeah,
Jeff is
rip
good.
me off
He's
like
not
all
going
the
to charge
rest.
anyone else. Jeff won't.
Once a banker, always
I
a banker.
trust you,
Come
Jeff.
on, Lise.
I think business is business, and banks need to make money in any way they know how, and they'll rip us off in the process. Also, how well informed are you? There are banks that don't charge fees if you shop around, and if you do have a mortgage, you're able to. They seem to clear all of the fees and everything that are associated with it. Because I'm going through refinancing myself at the moment, and all my fees, everything's been wiped because I've decided to go with the one bank.
Until they decide to inflict more on you a little bit
know,
later
I'm
down the
doomed.
track. And they all change their mind sooner or later anyway.
Yeah.
But it's time to keep, have the mentality that you always have to shop around, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why are you refinancing? Because you reckon you can get a better deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The banks have just gone through major changes,
Let me know how you go.
time I did too.
All right, Daz, what's going on here with the banks?
Yeah, look, Jeff, thank you very much for writing in. I can't say enough how good it is that you've said this. Yes, I agree, we should whinge a little bit more. Could also say that the Poms brought the banks here, but I wouldn't. Listen, mate, I don't know, I understand it's probably like a part-time job that you've got, just as Lisa said, where you've got to look around and shop and find ways to save money, to save fees, to see how you could rejiggle your money. I understand that takes time, and you should be paid for that, but I'm sorry, they're going to take your money for not thinking about which bank you go with.
Always. Surely there's a website available that can compare all the fees. There is?
There's lots of websites.
That'll make
like
it
that.
easy.
Look, I kind of agree with Jeff. I think that there's some valid points in there. I mean, I know that the UK operates on some sort of a national sort of interchange system where they actually waive all of the fees associated with using your other ATMs than your own banks. So I think that there's some valid points in there. I mean, I don't see why if the UK can do it, then we can't. So
it does seem
maybe
crazy.
maybe
Shop
we need to kick up
around.
a bit of a stink.
Otherwise,
up
we'd
a
end up
stink.
with the euro, and that's something
Yeah,
you don't want.
there's another side
That's
to
why
that
the ATMs
argument,
are so
I think.
flexible.
We're exposed to it anyway.
What does this mean?
Alan Treves also always supports us with his Aussie optical sunglasses, and we have to decide which letter is going to be awarded the Aussie optical pair of sunnies this week. The best letter?
Number one.
Number one, Peter
Number one,
Dingle.
yep.
Number one?
Absolutely.
And number one was?
Number one
was going nuts.
Granddad.
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 I go for Granddad as well.
You go for Granddad?
Going nuts.
Daz?
Oh, Kev, I was with you, mate, but I got outvoted.
Oh, there you go. Coming out to Going Nuts of Dandenong, Victoria. That's the 16-year-old kid.
I know, but the Granddad was so cute.
Yeah, but just think
He
with
needs
those
the
sunglasses, how
sunglasses.
cool he'll look. If he gives them to Granddad, Granddad will love you.
Disrespectful. We're going to go, Pete. Good night, mate. Welcome back, mate. It's been great having you.
It's been fantastic being here again.
We'll see
Really
you
appreciate
again.
it. Thanks.
Lise, we'll see you again soon.
You indeed will.
Kristine,
Thanks
terrific
for
to have
having
you here.
me. Great to be here.
Daz, we'll see you again soon. Congratulations on 10 years of NLP.
In Perth.
Never leave.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. We've got to go. Thank our terrific panellists. Thank our wonderful crew. And thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night.